you have the weapon. Whereas if you don't have the weapon, you sometimes have to expend as much as a quick shot to deal with a 2-1, which is definitely not efficient.
All right, sadly didn't get to see the mulligans there, but I doubt Glory will be too upset with how it's gone down here. Getting Refa, you know, a little bit awkward because with double Guardian Orc Merchant, he clearly wants to start giving Divine Shield to some of his good boys, but it's not going to be happening quite yet.
Yeah, and the fact that it's Rafa means GivePLZ himself gets a great target for his Guardian Og Merchant. Already, just like that, Glory is on the back foot. That's a decent top deck here, because now he has something to play alongside his Guardian Og Merchant, but I think he's looking for Demon Companion first here to see if he gets a Refa of his own, because if you can help it, you'd rather immediately trade into the Kolak, preventing any Adorable Infestation value trades from happening.
Such a weird start to the game here, just playing Orc Merchant tennis back and forth with Colex playing umpire as well. And at the end of it all, I guess it does just about end up in favor of Glory, because he just had 5 1-drops that he can play, or 6 1-drops, sorry, over the course of the first 3 turns. But the other side of that is that he is completely gassed out right now. GivePLZ has so much more value. It's just about whether he can weather the storm.
And I love that Glory recognizes that because he's so low on value, he's not about to trade away his Kolak just to get rid of the Neophyte. He's the aggressor here. He knows that with Divine Shield on that, GivePLZ ideally needs to have the True Aim Crescent to deal with it cleanly. And already it looks like GivePLZ is going to expend a quick shot. Just like I said, without the True Aim Crescent, it can be so inefficient to deal with these. I agree that GivePLZ had to do it though, because he's playing control here. The Rinling's Rifle for explosive can help him pull it back. Felmaw here though, better than nothing for Glory, but slow. Definitely slow.
Very slow, yeah. If GivePLZ can't lock down the board for a couple turns, maybe that's good enough for Glory. But for GivePLZ, he just has the ultimate comeback tool, the one thing that Glory didn't want to see in the Rinling's Rifle. Obviously, Explosive Trap is #1, but GivePLZ does hedge around that by attacking into the Initiate in case he misses, which he did.
Yeah, he did insta-pick though, which I like. If you show any hesitation there, Glory, you might get a bit more information. GivePLZ, even if he did have the option for explosive, I mean, he wouldn't know, but I like the fact that he trades into a 1-2, right? Because that's the one minion that can get out of range if there is Adorable Infestation for Glory. Here for Glory, if he had the Infestation, everything would still die to the Explosive Trap. I think it's just good recognition from GivePLZ. And Glory here with the Rinlings of his own, that's an above average top deck in terms of mana expenditure. But the thing is, if he swings with it, that would trigger a potential explosive and shut down a lot of the good outcomes from the Secret for Glory. But now that he sees it's not explosive, pretty sure he's going to swing that and pick something that affects his own board. So like Snake Trap, Pack Tactics.
Do you know how the interaction between Dorman and Open the Cages works?
It does not count towards your
Does not work. Okay. Well, in that case, snakes?
I think so. You could take Open the Cages and just say that GivePLZ, if he wants to attack into a minion, it would, or maybe he'd be too scared of Snake Trap or Pack Tactics to attack into a minion. But in the end, Glory takes Freezing Trap to respect Rhino, which is probably the worst card for him in this situation to see, so fair enough. GivePLZ misses on Explosive again, but granted it's not particularly good on this board state. I wonder if he could just take a preemptive Snake Trap, because Glory can't really decide where this Felmaw will go. Maybe it attacks into one of his minions, but he already has Pack Tactics, so I guess he's just trying to freeze the Felmaw back immediately.
Yeah, exactly. The Felmaw is why I like the Freezing Trap here. You can very possibly get the double whammy of getting the Pack Tactics, then sending the Felmaw back to hand, and finally being ahead on board.
Okay, there's an interaction I didn't know though. If like the Felmaw wakes up on a turn where the Open the Cages would activate, which one starts first? The Dormant Wake Up or the Pack Tactics trigger? Or
that's what I was asking, sorry.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I was just saying it doesn't count if it's still asleep.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I should have been more clear. But very interestingly there, I think the Felmaw was actually about to go face, which is why we didn't get the Pack Tactics activating, which is low-key pretty insane for Glory, because now with Explosive Trap, his opponent down to 5 health, GivePLZ maybe has one more turn here, but after that, he just can't really keep going face or he's going to die to the hero powers. I think this is a lock.
Yeah, for Glory, there was just too much damage in the early game. Not nearly as close as we saw the mirror turn out yesterday. But if one player can get so far ahead that they force the other player to do something like the quick shot on the 1-1, that can already be far too much damage to recoup. No sources of healing on other side. GivePLZ missing on explosive for himself was a big deal. And all that incremental damage makes this a triviality for Glory. GivePLZ throws it down.
Man, Glory actually got a completely useless top deck there. I can understand, to be fair, why GivePLZ did throw it down. I don't think there's any card draw he could get that would give him lethal on the following turn. Just didn't have enough mana, enough time before the hero power finished him off in 2 turns. But an interesting and unusual play out of the matchup, because, you know, we talk about how it's a very, very dense board battle most of the time, sometimes comparing it to like the Shadow Priest mirror, where it was all about high health, taking value trades. Glory just completely usurped that by that brilliant use of Guardian Org Merchant on his own Kolek to go wide. He just pushed damage face and ignored the board battle completely.
Yeah, that was, I think, already great recognition from the very beginning not to get rid of the Cult Neophyte from Glory. He did go for board control in the first turn or so, where he used his own Guardian Aug Merchant to ping off the one on the other side. But as soon as he could kind of break the tension by going with way more minions than a Neophyte could trade into, he already started pushing the face damage, and I think that was very well recognized. GivePLZ is going to move to his Garrote Rogue, though, possibly trying to get that through Glory's Handlock. I'd assume that's the best matchup left for it rather than the mirror.
And this rogue list is not the most traditional of decks. It's got some pretty spicy techs in there with, you know, dirty tricks, the interaction with Arcanist spell damage, giving all your bleeds +2 spell damage until you play a spell, somewhat counterintuitively. And the yoinks as well, topping out at 3 mana. This is a very weird list, and one that you've experimented with a bit yourself, I believe.
Yeah, it's one that I haven't really seen played, so I did have to try and go to the lab a bit. It was just a few games on ladder, but I admittedly was not impressed with it. The Dirty Tricks is nice. A lot of spells, decks in the meta rely on spells. They can't just kind of starve that secret in hand, even though it's the only secret, and they'll know exactly what it is as soon as you play it. So that's nice to have that as some backup card draw. But I find the Yoink sometimes can be so dead in hand. There's only really one hero power I always want to see, which is Warlock, and then sometimes Mage can be good if you need to ping your own Octobot, but that I also found a bit of a redundancy because GivePLZ is already running Backstab in place of one of the Guardian Aug Merchants. He's also cut the other Guardian Aug Merchant. He's cut Cult Neophyte, so disruption capability isn't as great. But I will say the upside of cutting Neophyte is that it means most of your fuel for field contact is 1 mana and not 2. Then again, there is very little fuel to begin with because there's much less Battlecry minions.
Yeah, this is as flexible as you can go, as loosey-goosey as you can go with this deck, because as you say, it's, you know, off of a secret passage, you're almost guaranteed to be able to play your entire hand post turn 4 or 5. But the problem then comes from the fact that you can end up with hands like this. Like, short of the Swindle, his hand is looking very, very low value. So I do obviously think he has to go for it here. Look for some card draw. Yoink into Warlock hero power would be fantastic, but he does need to start finding something better than this.
Chooses to trade the Extortion rather than play Yoink, which I think GivePLZ is saying he can't just go all in on finding Warlock because all the other hero powers are kind of useless this early on in the game. That insistence on playing prep on Swindle as soon as possible, I think, was to give him a shot of getting Octobot, because being first to play Octobot here before your opponent has access to a big prize plunder can buy you a lot of tempo, because as we know, the Garrote Rogue mirror is not dependent on just getting the combo. It is more so about getting the board and then finishing over the top with Garrotes. But in terms of Shroud of Concealment minions, that's the best possible combination.
That is the absolute stone cold nuts. GivePLZ looking to be in a pretty good spot now, as Glory just rips the secret passage and gets, yikes, a pretty bad hand. Like, Penflinger can bounce back, and I guess you can just, I don't know, dump the rest. I don't want to draw prep, or, I mean, maybe Shadow Step you hold on to, but I don't like any of this.
This is a disaster. I do want to get the Penflinger back in hand, which I think means prep. It's very unfortunate that he doesn't have a minion on the other side to target with the Brain Freeze, but the important thing is that the Shadow Step stays in the deck because his original hand had a field contact, if I recall. So having that as a top deck, I think, is above average.
So for Glory, I imagine you can probably start Swindle here to try and find Warlock hero power and then tap Octobot Procket.
Okay, I think the Hunter hero power is decent. Like, in this matchup in particular, again, you're not looking to necessarily full combo. You are just looking to deal enough damage because it's permanent with your minions and other sources that you can get over the top with a couple Garots most of the time. So, Hunter hero power is free for damage.
Shoot! I mean, you may as well.
Yeah, he has another Yoink in the deck, so I would just like to expend that. He can press the second button at any time.
Yeah, it's literally free. I also really like that he's Shadow Stepping the Octobot here as well. I think that's good recognition of where he's at with the field contact in hand. As soon as Glory plays any kind of minions, any board presence whatsoever, GivePLZ can almost certainly delete it, have the Octobot to discount a fresh suite of hands as well.
Okay, this is the sign of hope for Glory here. I was going to say, even though he has field contact, his counter-offensive is far too slow without an Octobot. But this Shroud of Concealment, he has 5 mana. There's a chance to get Octobot and just play it stealthed here.
True.
If he misses, though, it's looking very scary. I still like it better than Secret Passage, though, but Glory just...
Wow. I guess looking for Swindle, other Shroud, like basically anything to actually spend his mana proactively. Okay.
Sign of hope here. If that Swindle can pull prep, this is pretty insane.
I think he'd run out of hand space then, actually, before he could go for it, because he had like 7 cards left in hand. But a fantastic outcome there for Glory.
Yeah. Finds the Octobot. That's enormous. He has the capability of pushing back more efficiently here. I don't know if it's quite fast enough because he hasn't preloaded the discount like GivePLZ did.
Yeah.
But it's going to be doable to survive.
Man, even here for GivePLZ, it wasn't necessarily a given that he would go in on this turn. He's using a lot of shoot effects on his own minions here, deleting the Prize Plunderer, shooting his own Org Merchant, shooting his own field contact. Obviously, it gets him a lot of card draw, but it does mean that maybe he's a little bit susceptible to a board push from Glory on the following turn.
Honestly, I was interested in just ripping the Garrote. It costs 0, like while you have the spell damage, but he was going to play Secret Passage and wanted to minimize the chance of drawing bleed, so fair enough. Here's the Swindle. Another Yoink has appeared as well.
He's actually drawing infinite. Oh my god.
Wait, he didn't get the free hero power first.
That's a mistake.
Yeah. That's just missed 2 damage. Yikes.
Whew. He does have like 7 cards left in deck though after this turn, which is a huge amount of card draw. I'll accept one small mistake in missing the hero power for that turn.
Here we go. For Glory, it's Octobot proc, and then you actually only have 3 mana remaining. Fair enough though, you can go field contact, double Ethel, and the Cult Neophyte. And the Neophyte is very relevant at this point. He might even step it if he doesn't find anything better to do with this step.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if he even steps his Octobot instead. You can go for that here, discount the Brain Freeze as well. Maybe even throw down a couple of Garots, who knows? He's clearly getting close to losing this game.
Honestly, go for it, both of them. Yeah. Okay, if he didn't play Ethel to proc, then maybe it's not Garots just yet.
Ooh.
Okay. Board completely wiped, stays relatively healthy, and has a Neophyte aura in play.
Okay.
Cards for GivePLZ. Garrot's still in there, and the Arcanist. Arcanist is the big one because we've talked about the interaction with bleeds.
So he needs to try and set up lethal most likely next turn, which could obviously come in the form of Secret Passage. I didn't think it would come in the form of trying to go for lethal this turn.
It is possible, though, if he just hits the Arcanist, you play Garrot and then play the Arcanist, which is a battle cry. But you have to draw a lot of bleeds in a row, I think.
Oh, that feels very optimistic, right?
It is. But even if he doesn't get it this turn, he can still ping for free and kill the field contact, and then just naturally draw the rest of the bleeds next turn with the other Garrote. It doesn't all have to happen at once, but he misses on all the bleeds, so that means the spell damage is gone, and now he has to kill the Octobot with dagger and ping. Sorry, the field contact.
Oh. Glory can't believe his luck here. He's actually alive. As soon as Glory's GivePLZ started going in, I thought I'd missed something, but I don't think so. It was just an incredibly optimistic play to hope to get there that turn. And now Glory has some big questions he needs to ask. With double 0 mana Garrote, we are potentially looking at some kind of lethal, but without the field contact, I don't think he's got the engine to get there.
Don't think so. Biscuits. Did I ever barrier?
Barrier? Yeah, that's kind of tempting, right? You're going to be dying to some random scrappy amount of damage. It's not a clean combo.
Yeah. I honestly thought it would be barrier there. But Glory's clearly just trying to set up for his own lethal next turn. Best he can. Prize Plunder the Octobot. Don't give any more spell damage. There's still bleeds in the deck. Then he trades his Neophyte, or he can shield his Neophyte and have that trade into the field contact. As long as he doesn't face tank it, I'm happy with the turn.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, he's taking T's, he's doing everything he needs to do. Octobot stealth, it means that field contact next turn is essentially guaranteed lethal for Glory. And now for GivePLZ, things get really bloomin' weird because there's 3 bleeds in the deck, right? He can get another 8 damage with the second Garrote, but he needs to, like, he can trade there with the SI7 Extortion to try and draw a bunch of the bleeds. But without the spell damage, it doesn't mean anything. He just throws it down, and Glory takes the win. What a weird rogue mirror.
It was very weird indeed. I don't fault the play that GivePLZ went for, because even if he didn't get lethal immediately, just say he draws like 1 bleed, he would have gotten like +3 spell damage.
5. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, he had 14 guaranteed at the end there, and Glory was at 23. Okay, fair enough. Maybe he needed to draw 2 bleeds immediately off the Arcanist. It was, it didn't have to be all of them, and then he still had, I think, 1 more hero power he could have gotten. But the other thing I want to highlight is this play makes a lot more sense if you can weave in the 2 damage from the Hunter hero power, because he's trying to get there in a scrappy way.
Yeah, I mean, that did end up being a pretty big mistake. I honestly still think that it was just wrong by GivePLZ, because the reason to go for this play is because you think you're going to die next turn, right? Because he was on turn 6 under a Neophyte aura. He had all the pieces in hand. I think what was honestly a higher percentage chance of winning was wait a turn, wait for the Neophyte aura to chill out, and then you can just go for what was a much higher percentage chance at lethal, because the odds that your opponent can kill you has to be lower than the odds that you draw 2 bleeds there minimum. Very possibly you need 3 instead, and you just completely delete your combo if you miss and you lose the game.
Yeah, at the end there, we saw GivePLZ conceded because he had the maximum of 14 damage, all the Discover effects used, including Yoink, so there was no way he was able to raise Glory from that point, and let alone deal with the board that Glory had set forth. So fair enough, GivePLZ did probably on average have the time to wait for 1 more turn, but it goes to show how these players have played the mirror over and over, and I've kind of been burned by this myself, thinking I had 1 additional turn and then my opponent goes for a non-guaranteed lethal, and I feel stupid for not going for the non-guaranteed of my own. You cannot come up with hard numbers for the probability, so it's really mostly off of instinct and experience. GivePLZ is going to move on to his Warrior though, which is a decidedly difficult matchup into Handlock in particular. It is closer than I thought it was at first, but I feel like the Handlock can get to their fatigue win condition pretty consistently. Oh, sorry. This is Big Warrior, not Control.
Big Warrior,
so obviously a lot better than Control, but I think still decent for Handlock unless they can get the Rattlegore early.
Yeah, the Rattlegore's the big one, right? The one that is truly impossible to clear for Handlock. The Troublemakers can still be annoying, but obviously with the power of Soul Rend plus an additional clear, you can get there. And I think another instance where very possibly the Altar of Fire could be very, very big, because Big Warrior relies on few big minions to get the job done. If you burn one of those, if you can burn Rattlegore, as we were saying, that can be a big, big difference in terms of getting the win. But I will still say that GivePLZ, I think, is in a reasonable spot in this game. I've played this matchup a few times, and just cheating out an early Troublemaker, very often they just don't have the answer, and you win the game on the spot. One of those sticking just deletes the Warlock.
Yeah, that is true, especially since it takes a long time for the Warrior to actually get to fatigue from Tamsin and have that be the win condition, because you can't just win off the back of Flesh Giants in this matchup. You have, they often get eaten by Bladestorm, Barov. There's just a lot of different, okay, sorry, not Barov in particular for Big Warrior, but even just shield slams with a lot of stacked armor. The threats from Handlock seem pretty flimsy against the removal from Warrior.
However, Glory is going to be getting the first big minions down, with a Netheron coming online next turn, Flesh Giant shortly after. It's a pretty good start, and in terms of the race to get big minions online first, just being slightly ahead of the curve for Glory does turn things around, because otherwise these double grunts in hand, both the good cards drawn for GivePLZ, would run away with the game.
And so Glory here has to dump a card, and to me that feels like Altar of Fire, but it's always scary to do that when he's not drawn any of the backfires yet. That's the best card that he wants to see in this early game. There's still a Flesh Giant in there. There's a Battlegrounds Battlemaster, which can be threatening also for GivePLZ, but I think you just rip it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to see the end of your deck, it's kind of the same anyway. There's a decent chance that he will, to be fair, when he heads into Fatigue, but I'm just taking the risk here. There's also good cards that your opponent could not have drawn.
Glory disagrees, though. This Mortal Coil puts another on in range of Minefield. That's a big deal. Like, GivePLZ doesn't have to face tank 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of debatable as to whether he would want to face tank the 8 here. It's kind of reasonable, because I think you're going to have a lot of armor. You have the Bulwark as well, so just having an extra card on average could be good. But obviously, as we can see for GivePLZ here, he doesn't even want to draw cards because he's just got double grunt and he doesn't want to find the big minions.
Oh, I'm surprised to see the tradable for that exact reason.
Wow. And he just gets double grunt commencement with every other minion in his deck. This is absurd.
Yeah, this is the perfect hand here. And yeah, I would say he doesn't want to draw, and so he probably wouldn't face tank with the Outrider's Axe, even though the possibility was there with Shield Slam.
Okay. Coin, tap. You can go Raise Dead for 1 minion, which would allow you to play your Flesh Giant, but it looks like he's just chilling for a turn. It's really close, isn't it? Because if you don't play anything big here, you're just leading them up into playing Grunt on an empty board. But what if they have Grunt plus Provoke? Then what is a Netheron doing? It's just activating their bigger minion a turn sooner, even.
I still want to rip the Altar of Fire as well.
Many possibilities.
Just to kind of free up some hand space for Glory while he has the mana spare once again. He has 1 Baron Scavenger in hand right now. Okay, here we go. Brawl, not too big. Shield Slam, maybe relevant. Another Brawl.
Flesh Giant.
Yeah.
That is a big one.
I looked at what was burned for GivePLZ. What was burned for Glory?
Flesh Giant was the big one, alongside Neophyte and the second Altar.
Okay. Well, for GivePLZ, losing double Brawl, if he feels like he's going to be behind, is a big deal. But with a hand like this, I think Glory is forced to respond turn after turn after turn. No silence effects to be had here. And all of the threats from GivePLZ are annoying here. Troublemaker, probably even the least annoying of all of them, just because it doesn't have any death rattle.
True.
But it's still a big deal. Too much mana to spend to get rid of it.
The Raise Dead for Bristleback and Netheron, that costs 1. You can go Raise Dead again to get another Netheron.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, having multiple Bristlebacks could be useful too, just because they're removal tools, which Glory will need a lot of in the near future.
That's very true.
defenders are doomed.
Weave in the tap.
He's letting it rip.
Play giant.
Okay.
Tap giant.
Not Rattlegore. Yeah.
We've seen double brawl, so it's fine to play this many minions in my opinion. They're not all the same health as well, so Bladestorm's a bit more difficult to maneuver.
Yeah, true. Bladestorm's still a little awkward because he could just let it rip and kill both these minions first. But that would, of course, then damage the Scrapyard Colossus as well, which is not terrible. But here for GivePLZ, it's all just about how do you extend without overextending here. Because when there's board tension like this, you do kind of want to use your asymmetrical removal pieces, like Shield Slam and even the Sword and Board here, for example. But none of it's quite as clean as just jamming Commencement.
He does have an 8/8 rush in the Corrupted Fleet Hoof, but it's definitely not ideal to send that in an 8/6, so he's going to see what's in the box first. Kargath is another round of threats. This Cowardly Grunt can pull Kargath Prime from the deck.
That's sick.
I mean, just that plus Sword and Board and Value Trade seems decent to me. I guess he floats quite a bit of mana in that case. And it's also not a value trade per se, because you get the Death Rattle, so maybe you just send it face.
Sword and Board, Shield Slam. You can hero power Shield Slam first and then swing. Okay, yeah, that allows him to clear.
Okay.
Nicely done. Yeah, I like this use. I think that when there are opposing minions on board, you don't want to let them act as removal, because what Warlock is lacking here is good removal options. And if they can use their Netherons and Flesh Giants to act as those removal pieces, then I think GivePLZ can theoretically run out of threats, at least until the Rattlegore comes online. But if you just kill them off as soon as they come down, things are looking a lot cleaner for GivePLZ.
7 health breakpoint on the Scrapyard Colossus is enormous, because currently Glory had 2 Bristlebacks and the Unstable Shadow Blast, all of which deals 6. Even the Baron Scavenger deals 6. Okay, Prime? It's the Prime!
Oh. And so in terms of the order that they came down, it was Flesh Giant first, so if you were to provoke, that would proc the Divine Shield, right?
I think so.
Which is pretty sick.
It was Flesh Giant, then Bristleback, then the 6/6. So what he can do is like swing into the 3/3 and just leave his Kargath as a 10/4. I think that's decent.
But there's a taunt, right, in the
Oh, true. Yeah, he can't swing.
in the way. I mean, there's other ways you can go about it even then. Like, you could theoretically sacrifice your Kargath by attacking in first into the taunt, because then that gains you 10 extra armor, so you would be exchanging a 10-1 Kargath for 10 armor, which is kind of close. I don't really know where I fall on that. Probably the 10 armor is better, because they're going to lead up into a Soul Rend at some point soon anyway. It's a pretty tough turn, actually.
A conundrum.
Okay.
GivePLZ choosing to go on the offensive as well, pushing the 7 face, realizing or choosing to not value armor here over extra 3 health on the Kargath, which is a pretty fair assumption. I think the breakpoints don't change that much for Glory, who's already used double touch of the Nathrazim.
All right, so Glory does not really want to burn cards here, though, it's got to be said, because he still has double backfire in the deck, and at this point it is looking like if he's going to get the win condition, it's just stave off these threats for as long as possible. He's not realistically winning board anymore, and then win through fatigue, burst them down before they can necessarily get all the damage face with a Rattlegore. And so if you are going to Soul Rend, you almost certainly do it first, like before you go Null or Unstable Shadow Blast or Bristleback.
Or you don't Soul Rend at all. I do agree with your assessment, but Yeah, I think Glory's saying there's just one too many things he doesn't want to burn here. The double backfires, and honestly, Tamsin, pretty useful. Tammy 1, the small one, because he does have Soul Rend, and just copying Soul Rend as another removal tool could be quite powerful versus GivePLZ, who currently still hasn't hit Rattlegore, but now there's a higher chance of getting it. Is it 50-50? 1 and 3, 2 Troublemakers and Rattlegore left in the deck.
Oh! There we go. Now we're talking. The pressure finally on for Glory, but he gets a backfire as well, so he can go Tamsin, tap, play the taunt, try and put something in the way on this turn, and then backfire with taps as well. Will it be enough?
There's a Bulwark. That's the difference maker.
Yeah. That's so big.
Oh, this tour guide's so clutch for the Blade Storm.
Wow, it really is.
But the Fleet Hoof is pretty decent as well. If I'm GivePLZ, I just want to push this, or make sure you can clear the board. Is that where it is? Or is he meant to start pushing face? I don't think the face game plan necessarily gets there because there's still this other Bristleback he knows about.
So you could theoretically just go Blade Storm, and then swing into the Tamsin. It obviously massively damages your Rattlegore. And then you could even end with Bulwark, although you probably want to save that for a little bit longer. Alternate plans, just slam the Scrapyard is also a possibility. Like, Rattlegore does not necessarily have to go face on this turn.
Yeah, I think it could just be Pearl Tusk and then trade into Tamsin with the Rattlegore. He can fit in a swing for 1 extra draw. I think that's super relevant for GivePLZ to find more threats here. But he is going for the Blade Storm game plan, like he said.
He's going all in. This is...
And on the Bulwark, certainly, right? There's just...
yeah, I guess.
But 2 charges are eaten by tap alone here because of the 2 damage of lifesteal. Oh, sorry, he's not in fatigue yet. 1 charge only.
Yeah, he's not going for it yet either. I guess waiting until the big hits of fatigue come later on. But even without fatigue, this is like a non-zero amount of damage. Tap, backfire would be down to 6. No more unstable Shadow Blasts, I don't believe. So that's the max he can do here. But I mean, the extra 2 points of fatigue as well means that GivePLZ is kind of close to dying.
He is, but he's alive, and I think he calculated exactly that. Glory's maximum damage here is 9, the 2 base damage from 2 copies of Backfire, which is 6, and then 2 points of fatigue, or 2 ticks of fatigue, which is 3 altogether. And GivePLZ is at 12. So if he just equips the Bulwark the turn after, he is alive and probably pushing a lethal of his own with a Troublemaker. I think GivePLZ is playing not fast and loose here, just calculated.
Yeah, close to the wire, but like you said, never truly in danger, just under the appearance of. Kind of a forced play here from Glory, the only real line he has to be able to chew through the Rattlegore as much as possible and heal up a whole bunch as well. 7/7s still hit pretty blooming hard, as I'm sure we'll find out with GivePLZ having the opportunity to play another one if he wanted to. But this is where things get a little bit tough, because now that Bulwark is starting to look an awful lot more juicy.
He did just draw Heavy Plate, though, which would once again save him from just the fatigue damage, but I haven't counted the board as well. Okay, first let's count how much the fatigue is, because now he has tap, so down to 2, and then double Backfire, which is another 6 damage, and then 4 procs of fatigue. Okay, maybe it doesn't save him.
Yeah, I think he might just die then, right? Because that's like...
11, 17... I think it's 19 total damage. I actually think he would survive.
Really? If
okay,
you can clear
so he'll
the board
take
as well.
4, yeah, not counting the board damage. So 4 procs of fatigue, right? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Oh my gosh, he just doesn't play Heavy Plate, so he's dead.
He's just 100%. Dead. Yep.
Doesn't go Heavy Plate or Bulwark, and he doesn't clear the full board. So, but
100%.
Yeah. But he should know that as long as the one backcry isn't in the bottom 2 cards, then Glory 100% always has it. So I think that's a blunder from GivePLZ. Even if my math was wrong, you just go Bulwark there to make sure you survive.
I agree, yeah. GivePLZ did go for the line, leaves him dead 100% of the time. And after an incredibly slow day yesterday, we get a lightning fast series. Even with Blooming Big Warrior in the final game, Glory is still able to close things out nice and fast as our world champ shows us he's still got what it takes. The world champion's curse not affecting him. He's in GM and he's very possibly going through to the world championships again as he takes the win. But now, Gia, in our winners bracket match, we have Glory versus Alutemu, the most staunch of friends and practice partners, and one of them has to send the other down to the decider match.
Oh man, that's so difficult to watch, but at the same time, it's so fun to watch because these two have been practice partners for the entire season. Both of them know what's riding on the line for each other. I think Glory would love to have his friend through to the World Championship as well, especially since Glory has had the opportunity himself. But for Glory, it's the chance, another step closer to the back-to-back World Championship appearance and the World Championship win itself. Still alive, that dream for Glory. I think either of these players would be completely worthy competitors.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself when I say we should just give Glory the trophy now. We both know what's going to happen. Let's just end this whole thing early. Deal with all the faff. But for Alutemu and Glory, that is going to be a cracker of a winners bracket match. Cannot wait to see what Alutemu has been brewing up. Obviously, we've seen the deck list, slight differences between Alutemu and Glory, despite the fact that they usually bring identical lineups. So it would be cool to see those micro differences and how they can affect the series. But for GivePLZ versus Guru down in the elimination match, that is going to be